All right, so I'd like to continue giving you some strategies, and I'd like you to bite-sized, right? Because if I give you all the strategies in one video, it'll be too much to handle. So I'm thinking maybe if I give you a couple, then you can implement and kind of stack them. That'll be a better idea. So today I'd like to talk about the importance of exercise and the importance of keeping electronic devices out, and we'll see if we have more time I can do some more tips as well. So we talk about many things such as blocking out the light from coming to your house. Today we'll talk about a few more, including exercise, which I will start off with. So when you exercise, you actually make microtears to your muscle fibers, but sleep actually helps you heal and fully recover so that you are stronger the next day. So the healing takes place when you sleep. When you exercise, you tear the muscle fibers, and that's not really helpful. In fact, when you exercise, your cortisol levels are higher, your inflammation is higher, everything is higher, and to actually heal, you need sleep. So sleep is what really gives you the results after you exercise. A study by the Appalachian State University, sorry if I butchered that, in Boone, North Carolina, actually showed that exercising in the morning, so at 7 a.m., those people who exercised at that time spent the most time in the reparative phase of deep sleep. And this is because it helps the cortisol spike in the morning that should occur. So just like we talked about getting sunlight in the morning, even caffeine, and even exercise, all of those help maintain that cortisol spike that takes place in the morning, which is a good thing. And it can take your body 4 to 6 hours for the temperature to drop. So training late at night is not a good idea because you're not going to give the time you need for the temperature to fall down, because exercise, of course, raises your core body temperature. So exercising close to bed is not a good idea, but in the morning is a good idea because it helps that cortisol spike. Now, a study published in the Archives of Internal Medicine showed that 100 minutes of activity like tennis, swimming, and running actually gives you telomeres of someone that's 5 to 6 years younger your age, compared to someone who only exercises for 16 minutes a week. So exercising for 100 minutes a week, which is actually not that much in things like racket sports, swimming, running, whatever, actually gives you longer telomeres of people that are younger. So that has been shown that exercise can, in fact, a 2017 study showed that too, that people who exercise have telomeres that are younger of their age. And weightlifting actually gives you a good hormonal response. So when you weightlift, you're actually making testosterone, human growth hormone, and these youthful type of hormones, that all helps with muscle building, of course. And that's important to stave off things like sarcopenia. For example, people break hips very often when they grow older, and so maintaining muscle mass is something really important. So I think doing weightlifting is just very important regardless, but also making sure that you get activity throughout the day, especially in the morning if you can, but if not, then during the day, to just for overall health and for maintenance of telomere length, which is a measure of how long you're gonna live for. It's one of the measures, and so maintaining telomere length is very important, and that the best way is actually exercise. The Journal of Clinical Sleep Medicine found that a consistent exercise regime leads to better sleep quality. So nothing surprising here. Better sleep onset latency, less time awake, more time sleeping, and better sleep efficiency and sleep quality. So sleep just improves by having a consistent routine, exercise routine. It also works the other way, with poor sleep leading to shorter workouts the next day. So it's a bidirectional relationship. Researchers at Stanford showed amazing benefits of athletes who got enough sleep, such as running speed, better shooting in basketball, less fatigue during the day, and better mood overall. So get that exercise. So do something in the morning. Maybe do a fast walk, a Tabata set, anything that kind of raises your heart rate to kind of allow that cortisol to spike when it has to in the morning. Schedule a time to actually work out, even if something in the morning is very short, but make sure to do something. And then, of course, make sure that you work out as well. Do strength training at least twice a week, definitely a good idea. engage in other sports, racket sports, etc. Hit that 100-minute-a-week mark. Probably in addition to strength training is definitely a good idea. A good way to do it is to get an accountability partner. So have somebody there to support you, and maybe that can provide help in the area as well. It's always good to find someone who's better than you, who is accountable, and where you have to be accountable for doing what you have to. Someone who can keep you accountable, and someone who can also help you and support you along the way. Okay? The next tip that I would like to talk about is keeping your cell phones out of your bedroom. So electronic devices actually cause you to reach critical stages of sleep longer. So it will take you longer to reach those important stages of sleep and cause you to spend less time in deep sleep. An experiment in England showed that delta waves were actually depressed for more than an hour after phones were turned off, leading to lower quality of sleep. So it suppresses the deeper stages of sleep, and you spend less time in deep sleep. So get the phones out if you want to get good quality sleep. 50% of Americans actually sleep with their phones near their heads, which is a problem because cell phones actually emit EMF, electromagnetic frequency, which have been shown to affect cell-to-cell communication. So our cells actually talk to each other, and that's very important for our health. And they're not able to talk to each other properly, that communication, if EMFs are constantly bombarding you. And WHO, or the World Health Organization, in fact classified cell phone radiation as a type B carcinogen, and EMFs have been linked to things like leukemias, brain tumors, and breast cancer, especially in children, because children have thinner skulls and are more susceptible to the effects of electromagnetic frequency. A study in Tel Aviv done by Sigal Sadetsky showed that cell phone users can actually increase their risks of getting parotid cancers or salivary type of cancers. And those using their cell phones as teenagers have 4 to 5 times higher risk of getting brain tumors as a younger adult. So that study in Tel Aviv definitely shows how you're increasing your risk for problems by using your cell phones and using technology near you all the time from a younger age. Now, watching TV before bed also is not a good idea because it disrupts sleep and has been linked to many things like lower grades for children and higher risk of obesity. And couples with TV in their bedroom actually undergo 50% less sex. And we talked about the benefits of sex in terms of getting that chemical cocktail that's beneficial for sleep. And the Journal of Sterility and Fertility actually showed that 4 hours of wireless internet laptop exposure leads to reduced sperm motility and more sperm DNA fragmentation. So definitely not good in terms of reproductive health. So some tips include using an alarm instead of having a phone in your bedroom, right? It's definitely a good idea to prevent you having that EMF so close to your brain all the time, as well as doing fun activities to replace technology, like talking to loved ones, turning off Wi-Fi at night, and keeping your phone in another room are all good ideas, right? You don't want to sleep with your phone. Maybe keep it away from you or in another room, even better. Talk to people, read books, replace technology with other activities before bed. I began using it. It's definitely, it's hard, but it'll pay off. Okay, so again, exercise, get that activity in the morning, maybe do weightlifting twice a week, definitely a good idea for better sleep. And then get your phones out of your room if you can, and try using an alarm instead of your phone, and replace phone and technology with other activities that you enjoy before bed. The next thing I want to talk about is losing weight, because essentially a study in the University of Australia showed that consuming a meal when you're already obese leads to a 51% increase in cortisol versus a 5% rise in healthy individuals, which can lead to blood sugar dysregulation, reduced insulin sensitivity, and inflammation. And that's why being overweight is scary, since you're making an anti-stress response each time that you eat. So definitely losing weight is a good idea. It's vital to have the right hormones at the right time. And Johns Hopkins researchers show the importance of weight loss diet weight loss, and 20% better sleep quality in the study when people lost 15 pounds over a 6-month interval period. So people, when they lost 15 pounds over 6 months, their sleep quality improved by 20%. And that makes sense because you're getting less of an anti-stress response every time you eat. Your metabolic health improves. And being overweight also increases your risk of getting sleep apnea, and that's kind of another reason why sleep issues are heightened if you're overweight. And sleep apnea can result in abnormal blood pressure, depressed brain function, poor cognition, and lots of other terrible things like organ stress, etc. Although CPAP machines for sleep apnea do help, the real cause is actually losing weight, and that should be addressed. The weight loss method must be sustainable long term, and caloric restriction unfortunately takes away lean muscle mass too, and muscle is like your fat burning machinery. So by doing caloric restriction, you're actually losing muscle mass as well, and that's counterintuitive, and that's actually counterproductive and not helpful in losing fat, because that's what you really want for weight loss. You want to lose fat, not muscle. The idea is to use body fat as a fuel. And insulin actually reacts to carbohydrates, and a study by the Journal of Nutrition showed that the higher protein levels lead to better weight loss. And a study in New England Journal of Medicine showed that those with metabolic syndrome or type 2 diabetes lose around 3 times more pounds over 6 months in the low fat group versus a low carb group. So you definitely to lose weight, it definitely helps to eat. I think I actually did it vice versa. You lose more weight if you're actually in the low carb group than a low fat group. So you do need proteins and fats, and it's actually insulin reacts more to carbohydrates, and that's what's actually leading to the weight gain. So, and dietary fats are good for your brain, nervous system, and endocrine system. In fact, the myelin sheath that wraps around neurons in your brain is made of fat, and your brain is you're pretty much a fat head. Your brain is made of fat, and so you need healthy fats, right? But a high ratio of proteins and fats to carbs leads to more glucagon rather than insulin, and glucagon is what triggers the breakdown of stored fats, which is crucial for weight loss, versus carbs, which leads to an insulin response, and that leads to storage of fats. So you hold on to that fat rather than burning it. So you want to get all the micronutrients, of course, that you need by eating real foods, and because calorie empty foods suppress leptin, which is a satiety hormone. So the idea is to eat real foods, because then you're going to get less cravings. If you eat calorie empty foods, leptin is going to go down, and so you're not going to feel full, and you're going to want to keep on eating. So definitely not a good idea to eat calorie empty foods. So you're going to eat real foods, healthy fats, and proteins. A study by Stanford showed that by eating real foods is definitely better, and they showed that sleep-deprived individuals have decreased leptin levels, and thus increasing cravings, and cause people to eat unhealthy, empty caloric foods. So poor sleep leads to lower leptin levels and makes you not full, so you want to eat more and more. So better sleep causes better leptin sensitivity, and eating more micronutrient-rich foods reduces cravings and prevent hunger. So you definitely want to get good sleep, and you definitely want to eat real foods to prevent feeling hungry all the time if you want to lose weight. And brain activity shown at the University of Berkeley showed that those that are sleep deprived, you actually activate primitive parts of the brain like the amygdala, and that increases your motivation to eat. So by activating those primitive parts of the brain, you're not really making rational choices, and you can eat poorer healthy choices as well. So that's another reason why it's important to get good quality sleep using all the methods that we talked about previously. It also reduces activity in the frontal and insular cortex, and that leads to lower self-control and worse decision making, and the inability to evaluate or make poor choices. So you're overactivating the amygdala or your primitive parts of the brain, and you're suppressing the more sophisticated parts of the brain, like the frontal lobe and the insular cortex. So eat a high-fat, low-carb diet before bed to prevent the blood sugar crash in the middle of the night as well, as the level of carbs actually fall back down, and then you get hypoglycemia, which make you wake up in the middle of the night. So you definitely don't want to eat a diet that's high in carbs before bed, and avoid eating around 90 minutes before bed. So that's best to eat carbs earlier to fall asleep faster. And the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition showed that 4 hours is actually the sweet spot. So eating 4 hours before bed, if you're going to bed at 10, eating at 6 your last meal, definitely a good choice. Then you can have your carbs, and then of course maybe fats and proteins as well. And again, if you don't want to lose weight, then yeah, you can have more carbs. This is for people who want to lose weight, to prevent things like sleep apnea and to have better sleep and all that. Then reducing your carb intake is definitely a good idea. So you can start your breakfast with things like hormone healthy fats and real foods. If you're using a smoothie, you can add things like greens, spinach, berries, maybe a protein powder, almond butter or nuts, cacao powder, cinnamon, and maybe like a half a banana or stevia for taste. So you can have a good high fat type of diet, and then limiting carbs, 4 hours before bed. So try these tips, and they will definitely help you lose weight, and that's really important because being overweight messes up with your insulin sensitivity, hormone cycles, and makes your sleep pretty crappy, which suppresses higher order brain functions, reduces leptin, and make you want to eat more and more because poor sleep does that. So losing weight is definitely a good idea. So try these ones. Actually, you need fat to lose fat. So reduce your carb intake, focus more on healthy fats and proteins, and try to avoid eating too close to bedtime.